Welcome to the first Cramps and Cinema edition of the Editorial Podcast. I'm Nikki.
And this is Chris, and we're super excited to be bringing you an in-depth look at some PMS-worthy movies. So grab some ice cream, a heating pad, and some Advil, and join us for some movies and menstruation.
And for the first edition, we'll be watching Notting Hill, the 1999 rom-com starring Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts.
Yeah, the movie follows William Thacker, a sad travel bookshop owner who has a chance encounter with Hollywood starlet Anna Scott, and then a torrid love affair ensues.
Chris, what did you think about the movie?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I forgot briefly just how much I hated this movie.
Right.
It's been years since I've seen it, and I just forgot how much I absolutely disliked Julia Roberts' character.
It's funny because this is the first time that I've watched the movie.
Yes.
Chris, you've seen it before.
Yes.
But I think that in terms of your typical romantic comedy, just predictability, it definitely is predictable at some points, but then there's some points that leave you questioning, like, why? And then we did find a plot hole in the movie.
There's a few, yeah.
There's a few, yeah, and we're gonna talk about it. But the first thing that I predicted was the orange juice incident. Me and Mr. Pharmacist was watching the movie together, and like as he was at the coffee shop getting his, I don't know, bagel or whatever it was with the orange juice, and he walks out, I immediately said, watch, he's gonna run into her and he's gonna spill the orange juice all over her.
Yeah.
And soon enough it happens. So
I don't know. Okay.
I mean, 1 point for Nikki.
Do you know what a meet cute is?
No.
Okay, so a meet cute in a rom-com movie is basically when the two characters like meet for the first time. And this movie has two meet cutes. So it like happens the first time when Will is just like at the shop, and then Anna Scott walks in.
Right.
With that,
while somebody's trying to steal a book down their pants.
Which is very funny because the guy who's stealing in the bookshop, his name is Dylan Moran. That's the actor's name. And he is in this really funny British sitcom called Black's Books, where he too runs a bookstore.
Oh, I didn't know that. Fun fact.
It's very funny. If you have not seen Black's Books, go watch it. It's very funny. Yeah, but what happens is like they have a very awkward conversation about like Anna Scott looking at this book, and you don't know if William Thatcher knows who she is. So it's like there's this one little bit where I'm like, does he know who she is? And then he says something as she leaves, and then that's when you realize that he knows who she is.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like the way that he stares out the window, like, of his bookshop after she leaves, you definitely know that he knows who she is. But it's just funny
moment, like you don't
conversation
know with that conversation. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like that's the first meet cute, and then the second meet cute is exactly what you're describing, when like the crash with the orange juice and the coffee.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like they meet for the first time twice, but under two different circumstances.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that that's when you really get a sense of Julia Roberts' character in Anna Scott, where she is quite like how do you describe it? Like what she was, the type of feeling that I got from her was when he said, oh, I live like, just really close from here if you want a place to change your clothes and a phone to use, right? And she's like, describe it to me in yards. Like she was very demanding, and she's like,
yeah,
it's like she is used to getting things her way. So you kind of get a sense of that, and it does play back the type of person that she is, like later on in the movie, that we'll talk about when it leaks that she's at his place, and then her reaction to the whole debacle. But we'll go back to the beginning first about the orange juice incident. Before that, though, I did notice fashion moment. She was wearing a Chanel beret. Like in 1999, I mean, I can't even.
I think it was really funny because the first thing I noticed were like her sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how like peak Hollywood starlet that you're like outside disguised in a beret, a large beret and sunglasses.
And like they were shaded like red pinkish sunglasses.
Yes, and like, is this going to hide your identity? This is going to be the thing.
Right.
Okay,
And so
cool.
this is another thing that I said. I was like, how is this starlet walking around with no bodyguards and no cell phone?
Well, again, it's like it's 1999, so I feel like she would have to pay crazy roaming charges for having to use that phone in the UK.
But not even a
So maybe that's
bodyguard?
why. I know, that
They
was the
played
thing
her
that
as
really
like
irked me.
the top Hollywood star at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then on top of that, like when she does crash into him on the sidewalk and she's there like looking so panicked as to like what to do, and she needs to get somewhere but
Yeah.
she has no means of contacting someone, and then when he offers her a phone,
Yeah.
it's like, shouldn't this like already be a bad idea? You're supposed to be on guard at all times. You're obviously a guarded person. We get that
Uh-huh.
from that first interaction. And now you're just going to, easily walk into someone's home, even though it's a few steps away. I
Right.
don't know. The whole interaction with that, I understand it's supposed to be like cute damsel in distress being rescued, but I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me.
Mhm.
Like the
Mhm.
person who watches all of these like murder documentaries was just like,
Oh
he
God.
could murder you. He could murder you. What are you doing?
This is a romantic comedy, not the beginning of a zombie apocalypse movie, Chris. Let's
Listen,
keep that in mind, you know.
I'm gonna write this as a parody.
Oh my
I'm gonna
goodness.
write Notting Hill meets zombies. It's gonna be great.
Oh God. Okay, Notting Hill Zombies Last Dance.
Yes,
Oh
yes, write
God.
that down. That's perfect.
No. But another fashion moment that I noticed was when she did go to his apartment and then she did
Hmm.
change. That was a quick change into a very sparkly two-piece crop top with a sparkly matching skirt. And then she was still in her sneakers. And then it was an oversized blazer look without the beret. Now, I mean, for 1999, I get that we're in 2020 now and that we're actually embracing retro fashion, but this was like, I think
Hmm.
this outfit is like peak retro meets
Yes,
new fashion because now all you see is models walking around with, very nice dressy pieces and then toning it down with sneakers. And then the whole like oversized blazer look is definitely a thing right now.
yes. I mean, you can find that outfit literally, I think, in any H&M A spot right now, for
Right.
sure.
And every single Aritzia model poster, you've got that.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So,
Your Vancouver is showing.
ex- well, I also want to mention that I did watch the movie with Mr. Pharmacist, and it's funny because he saw the kiss coming, the kiss at the doorway, before she
Yeah.
leaves, and I was like, "There's no way! Like they just met. I don't understand." But he's like, "Oh, there's gonna be a kiss." I'm like, what? Have you watched this movie before? He's like, no, but I bet that there's a kiss coming. And so there was a kiss, and now I owe him
It,
$5. So,
oh my gosh.
but then
I
my
don't know.
question was, why did she kiss him?
I had such, I don't know. This is why like my whole problem with this. I'm already frustrated. I can't
You're
even
so
speak. So
frustrated. You're waving your hand like, stop, 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 stop.
you were so upset with him 2 seconds ago. Like you were ready to bite his head off. You wanted nothing to do with him 2 seconds ago, and now all of a sudden everything is peachy keen now. He hasn't changed. Like nothing about what he has done has changed. What
Right.
has changed in your predicament now that this is okay? Also, this is a stranger. You should know better. You're like so hyper focused on the paparazzi. Listen, I have a lot of qualms with
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
this.
No, but it's like
Ah,
you you were fierce with him. You then kiss him. And then when Spike comes through the door afterwards, the immediate
we
thing
have
for
to
her
talk
to
about
say,
spikes just
we
after
will,
this.
but she's like immediately after he walks through the door, she's like, maybe we should just keep this between us. That was a behavior that I didn't really. So you kiss the guy and then you immediately regret, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, you were already on rocky ground right from the get go.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know, like, this little burst of passion led you to do this. And now you're just like, oh, just kidding. Never mind.
Yeah,
Like,
let's never talk about it again. And then you go and you call him.
ah, oh my God. Okay. So, here's my whole thing with this.
Mhm.
Nowhere in that would you have no, like, he didn't offer, I don't think he even offers his name proper. He has this conversation with her at the bookstore. They crash into each other. She leaves his apartment. And then I don't think any phone numbers, anything like that was exchanged. For him to have received that call at home
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense, because that means
For
that she would
sure.
have, I don't know, in a very roundabout 90s technology way, would have had to, I don't know, call the store, ask, hey, is that guy with the glasses and the hair around? And then when they were like, oh, yeah, that's Will. And well, it's Will around? Oh, no, he's not here. Okay, cool. What's his full name? So I can look him up in the yellow pages.
Right. Or
And
ask
I,
him for the guy's home phone number. I don't know. See, it's like weird. Like, how would you,
which you shouldn't do because,
but
LP.
it's like, how would you know? And at no point in there was there the swapping of the phone numbers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And then
I
it's
don't
like you call
understand.
at home, you leave a message with like the bonehead roommate Spike, who I both love and hate all at the same time.
The only reason why I like him is because he's got an Irish accent, and I picked that up
Oh my god.
immediately. I mean, I was like, when he said Welsh, I was like, oh, yes. But then I can't with everything else.
He just always looks like he needs a bath.
Oh, for sure. And his shirts are way too short for his long torso. But it's just like, it's super funny because to me, I was like, I have this weird obsession with Irish accents. Like, I think it's the sexiest thing. Like, the more I can't understand you, like, the more turned on I get, for sure. So,
I can't. Jesus
with like, oh
Christ.
no, did you not, like, did you hear about like that new show that's coming out on, like, I can't remember what television. It was like, it's called Normal People.
No. Explain.
Okay.
Expand and explain for full marks.
So it's called Normal People, and it's about two normal people and their first, like, it got praised for having like the most convincing form of consensual sex like that was ever filmed. Like, it's very normal. It's not over theatric in terms of the way that two people have sex for the first time. So it's actually, it's getting a lot of like attention and a lot of people are praising it. But the main guy in it, he's got the heaviest Irish accent, and I just kind of keel
Jesus.
over, and I just like, I have this little tingling sensation on I that I
Oh
don't
my
know what to do
god.
with. But yeah, so
I
there's
can't.
that. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. Spike is just too much for me.
I don't know, man. It's like he always just looks like he just like went for a run and then put on, I don't know, something that was like shrunk in the dryer. And then he just comes out and says something ridiculous. And it's really nice to have that like burst of comic relief after like seeing Julia Roberts blow up at someone.
Mm.
Cause I feel like there's so much tension. She gets so angry so quickly. And then even when she's trying to be charming, she still comes off as stiff.
It might be that really creepy, huge smile that she has that she's showing just a tad bit too much gum. And then, yeah, it comes off as just a tad creepy.
I don't know, man. I just like this character just rubs me the wrong way every single time I see this movie. Like I forget how much I dislike Anna Scott. Like I understand that she's supposed to be like the idea of what a peak Hollywood starlet would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that you've been in the industry for like 10 plus years and like, you've had to do all these things to like conform to the industry and you're super jaded because you've been in the industry and people praise you for, your looks and not your talent. People have all these
Mm.
preconceived notions about you. But like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like no matter how jaded you get, you're still innately human. Like you still have human characteristics. Like you still understand socialization. Oh, when William goes and like meets her at the press conference or
Right.
like the press junket or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then they're having a full conversation and he's like, "Oh, well, it's my sister's birthday." And she's like, "Well, I'll be your date." And I was like, "How presumptuous, miss, that, there might be enough food for you. We have catered for 6 heads, now we have 7." You
Right.
know,
I think, and my defense for that was more like, she's been, like, I'm assuming that this character of hers, she's playing like as if she was like mid 20s, and she's been in the industry for 10 plus years. So when she got into the industry, she was in her teens. That being said, she probably doesn't know what norms are. Like, she probably doesn't understand it. And everything was usually accessible at her fingertips. So she probably doesn't even understand, oh, this is something that's seen as very forward or very off to be inviting like yourself to somebody's family's birthday. But then she doesn't know that because she probably, this is like, she probably just, yeah, like, I don't know how better to explain it. She just probably doesn't understand that that's not the norm.
I think it might also be like the character is supposed to be very like self first in the way that she carries out her life. Because even when, so there's this really awkward, tension filled scene at that birthday party where they're all like sitting around,
Mm-hmm.
like doing like the suck stories for the last brownie,
Right, right.
and going about their lives. And like, there's one character who's literally in a wheelchair, had an accident, pretty much had her whole life turned around. Her husband is super doting and super lovely. And like, she reveals at that table why she deserves that brownie is like, she's A, in a wheelchair, and B, can't have a baby. I'm sorry, that's like the biggest mic drop in terms of like sad stories as to why you deserve the last brownie. And then,
I thought that was just like the weirdest like showcase of
oh,
British humor.
100%, the
It's
darkest humor.
actually, and this happens not only this one time, but one more time after that. But back to this brownie thing, you don't
Yeah.
think that she deserves a chance to even contend for this last brownie.
And yet she has the nerve to like throw her hat in the ring, being like, well, I've had, I've had surgery to make me look this way. And I'm, when people realize that I'm not going to be talented, and my looks fade, and then no one's going to want to have anything to do with me. I was like, girl, you just said that you were paid $15 million for your last film.
Right.
What? This woman can't have a baby, and
And
she's
she's
in a
in a wheelchair.
wheelchair. What
And
are
her
you
husband is the
saying?
shittiest cook.
Exactly. For crying out loud, what are you saying? I was like, can
I
you
think
just
this
let the
is
woman have her
the,
moment?
well, no, this is obviously her version of a first world problem,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. For sure. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like my PMS rage like made me super annoyed with her too, which is why
Hmm,
like I'm
hmm.
like this is a good PMS movie if you just want to be like sitting and raging about ridiculousness.
Well, I literally got my period like 2 hours prior to the movie. So if I was emotional, which I'm usually not, but if I was, I feel like it still didn't do much for me. And I'm not really one of those like rage PMS people.
Gotcha.
So it was okay for me, but I just thought that it was like they have such weird sense of humor. And but you know what, the movie did have a curveball that I was not expecting. And I was talking about this to Mr. Pharmacist, and I was like, you know what, it's actually kind of cool that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know as the audience, just like William, that she had a boyfriend. And that scene at the
Yeah.
Ritz was something that caught us both off guard because we were like, okay, well, this is going pretty well. But just like William, we didn't like he didn't read like, the gossip magazines to see that
Yeah.
she had a boyfriend, and neither did we know because there was no like any hints of her having someone in her life. So it was really interesting, like the way that they filmed that and the way that they portrayed that to the audience, like that William was just as clueless because we also were clueless. I think
Yeah.
that was really cool.
And I think that's the reason why, like, I mildly tolerate Hugh Grant in this movie compared to all the other movies. Like, I cannot stand Hugh Grant. I think he's just like, he's got a smarmy face. Like, when I see a
What? I thought he
smarmy
was
face,
pretty good
I like
looking.
punch him in the face with his smarmy face. I don't know. It's smarmy and I don't like it. But,
Mr.
um,
Pharmacist thought he was kind of good looking, so.
he had his moments, I guess, in this film. But, like, what I liked
Oh, when he
about,
has those glasses on. Ooh.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, those are pretty sweet. I do like glasses a lot.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, but what makes him great in this film is like he's the everyman perspective, right? Like he's the one that we see.
Hmm.
He's us. We don't know too much about this character. We don't know too much about this world. He
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
obviously just like has his job. He goes to his travel bookstore. It's not doing very well. He's just like trying to make ends meet and like get on with his life after a divorce. And then this
Right.
woman just comes crashing in, and he's like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then seeing him having to deal with like another Hollywood famous star, which is Anna's boyfriend, played by Alec Baldwin. Very funny connection, though, is in 30 Rock, written by Tina Fey, which also stars Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Emily Mortimer, who's like the perfect girlfriend. Remember, like, when he's like dating the series of girls? And it's like the last girl in the black with the short hair, and he's like
Oh,
telling
yes,
his
yes,
friend.
yes.
They actually have like a very funny relationship arc on 30 Rock.
Oh.
She plays a lady named Phoebe, and she has very fragile bones, and her thing is like, don't touch me, I have bird bones. It's very funny.
Oh. You mean the girl with the short black hair and like the exposed back?
Yes, that girl.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I honestly just see the funny part of this all is that Mr. Pharmacist couldn't imagine because he was so turned off by Julia Roberts. He's like, I don't think she's pretty. Because he's like, I just can't imagine what the highest paying actress is like in
Oh
this kind of
gosh.
scenario. So he actually we stopped a little bit of the movie and he had to Google who was the most famous actress in Hollywood right now, or who is the highest paid actress or whatever,
I'm
and then you got a
crying.
list of like Jennifer Lawrence, Natalie Portman, Scarlett Johansson. So I was like, just imagine that,
Yeah.
like, Julia Roberts is one of those. So he goes, okay, well, I'll imagine that it's Scarlett Johansson, since I mean, I don't find Jennifer Lawrence attractive either. So I was like, okay. So
Cool.
I'm like, imagine going from Scarlett Johansson to the first contender that their friends try to set up with, the lady with the like whack hair
The
that comes
crazy
through the
hair.
door. Yeah. And then I was like,
Let's get
imagine.
sloshed.
Oh fuck, when she said that, I was just like, see, I'm one of those people that I react physically when I
Oh,
can't when I can't handle something. So when that happened, when she said that, I immediately just slapped his arm. I just slapped Mr. Pharmacist's arm so
oh my
hard. I was just like, I
goodness.
couldn't. Like I was just like, and I gripped it and I just dug my nails in, and I just when I'm just uncomfortable, people around me but like are just turned into my punching bags.
I
So I'm
get
just like
that.
exploding with like just I can't, and then it just comes out physically.
Just so cringe. And like when she came out, I was like, what are you doing? He just had like this torrid affair with like this super famous starlet, and this is
Oh
the thing
yeah.
that you bring?
And then the one next was like, oh, those carrots were murdered. I was like, you've got to fucking
I'm a
joking me.
fruitarian.
I only eat the fruits that actually have fallen from the tree and that are actually dead. Fuck. Like, when she said fruitarian, I thought she only ate
Ate
fruit.
fruit.
Right, but it's not. Like, it's only things that have fallen from the tree. So carrots definitely don't fall because they grow in the ground.
Yes,
So
they were
they were
torn.
brutally murdered.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't with that one. I thought the one, yeah, the last one with the, the short black hair and that exposed back. I was like, damn.
Yeah, all I could think of was like 30 Rock when I saw her. All I could think was, careful, my bird bones. It.
I didn't watch 30 Rock, but yeah,
Oh my
no, that
god.
was very interesting. And then the scene right after that, when
Mm-hmm.
that also caught us off guard, where again, it comes back to the British people have a weird sense of humor point that I was trying to make, when he casually just puts out the fact that he was in love with the girl in the
Oh my
wheelchair and
god.
she married his best friend, which is the guy who's a shit cook. And I was like, did we just find out this information just right now? Like,
Yeah,
is this
it was just
what?
thrown out there.
So nonchalantly, just like, hey, yeah, I used to be in love with you, and then you
Yeah,
married my best friend.
and then like the woman's husband is like sitting right there, and I was like, oh
Oh yeah,
boy, this is a
but I
cringe
guess that's
moment.
just British humor for
Yeah,
you.
just sitting in the uncomfortable state.
Mm-hmm,
It was
mm-hmm.
ridiculous. I don't know. And then it was like back to all of that. Like you see sort of what that ideal woman for William would be, and then it's like smash cut.
Mm,
Who comes walking in what is apparently weeks later, but Anna Scott, who's there for like 2 days.
right. That also, I mean, does that help you in terms of? her having that first world problem where it's like, oh, I had to change my face. I had to do, procedures on my face to look a certain way. I've had to been on a diet since I was like 14, 19, whatever she said.
Yeah.
And then now you have her when she made a decision when she was young to do a photo shoot or something naked,
Yes.
right? And then now it turns out that somebody was also filming her and it came out as what seems to be a porno. So it's like, imagine being a normal person, yes, and like, being in a wheelchair. I'm not equating that this to be the same thing, but it's like not being able to have babies and being in a wheelchair and then being exposed to the
Mm-hmm.
entire world, your body and everything along with it, and people thinking that you did a porno. Like
Mm-hmm.
both are equally bad in their own sense. Obviously, like being in a wheelchair definitely sucks.
Yeah.
And
And
not being able to have babies, but she carried herself really well. Like the girl who is in a wheelchair in this movie, like she was like, she didn't let that hinder her life. She wasn't, it wasn't like a pity party for me. It was more so like just she embraced it in a way that was very
mm-hmm.
empowering.
And that's why I think that moment where she like turns up at William Thacker's door is the one moment where it almost feels like Julia Roberts' character is humanized, because she comes in and
Mm,
she, for like the first time the whole movie, doesn't have this guard up. Because even like when they're like traipsing through the gardens, it still feels very guarded. Like
right.
it still feels like she's putting on this performance of what romance is supposed to look like. And this is the first time where she comes and she's vulnerable and she needs help. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, cool. She has this redeeming moment where I understand where it's like, okay, she is a damsel in distress in this point, but she genuinely needs the help
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
she's
yeah.
not pushing it away. So it's like they spend this wonderful time together and
Uh-huh.
it's very honest and it's very sweet. But then you see how quickly it turns again. It's like you made the decision to come to him to solve this
Right.
problem, and now
Right.
everything is his fault because he opened the door. You know what I mean?
Right. Rewind just a tad bit before
Yeah.
we get into that though. I think that the one of the main reasons why she got so explosive and so upset,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that, he got exposure from this because that all the paparazzi got to his place and like who would have known because she didn't tell anybody and it must have been Spike. But you can kind of see like there was a moment where I think in the
Mm-hmm.
movie clearly there was that falling in love moment, and it could be just Julia Roberts being really good at acting, or the points that she got while like directed by the director, but it was like that was a super cringy foot conversation. Sorry, I hate feet, right? So when she was biting her nails and she goes, you have big feet.
Literally, as I was watching that, I was thinking, and this is like a real thought I had. I was like, Nikki's probably like pissing herself over this.
Oh, for sure. I was like, there's two emotions that were so strong in me because it was one, a sexual joke
Of
about
course.
the same size, like big feet means big dick. But then also it was the fact that she taught, like there was like like just the pan of his feet. Like you could just see his feet in the screen for a copious amount of time. And I was just like cringing because, like, I hate fucking feet and I hate toes. So I was like, Jesus, it's like two polar opposites where I'm like, I want to make a dirty joke, but at the same time, it's a dirty joke about feet. And just don't think I have it in me. So, but then right after that, you saw the look on her face and you're like, you realized, yeah, like she fell in love there. Like she totally fell in love there.
Mm.
Um, and then the whole like, coming down the stairs and like, initiating the sexiness going on and then like her exposed back and then just him just taken aback and going like, wow. See, that never
Ugh.
fucking happens. Let me tell you, okay? Making out with a guy, there's no fucking way is he just gonna mid making out with you stop, take a step back, look at you, and go, "Wow." Like that's just too theatrical. If
Oh
a
my
guy did
god.
that to me, I would be like, "What the fuck did you just say?" Like I'd be so confused.
I would be so confused. Well, it's like it's Hugh Grant's thing, right? It's like he's supposed to be like the dapper, charming Englishman. So
Right, who's encountering, a famous star for the
Yeah.
first time. Yeah, I get it. But so like that brings to like the
The
point of
dramatic
the
nature of
dramatic,
it.
yeah, so she's like, "Oh, I let my guard down. I was vulnerable
Ugh.
with you. Like, I wanted to stay a little bit longer, and then you said in bed like you should stay forever." And then, it was a nice
Gross.
sweet moment. The doorbell rings. I made you breakfast in bed. Go get the door, and then fucking paparazzi swarms and you're in your boxers. See, that was also very clever because not the entire time the screen, like the camera was just only
Yeah.
focused on his upper half of the body. You didn't notice that he opened the door with his boxers on until he walked back up the stairs.
Yeah. That's
That was very
fair.
clever.
And then immediately what happens is Spike goes outside in his briefs.
Yes. Oh, and that was
So
another
gross.
like nail digging in arm moment for Mr.
So
Pharmacist.
viscerally
I heard
disgusting.
him there. Yes, that
Oh,
was very funny.
oh
So and then she
man.
like explodes on him, thinking that because like he exposed her wanting to get publicity, and like this is what you wanted all along, isn't it? Like you should tell your friend Spike that he owes you a big one because blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's like a very wish-washy person, this Anna Scott. Like I feel like she
Yeah.
can love so deeply but then also is very scared of being vulnerable, and then the moment that she kind of lets go a little bit, she's like, see, I was right, I shouldn't have been vulnerable. Now this is what happens, right? Like I get the backlash of all this.
But see, this is like, yeah, the writing for me for that character, like, really, it irks me because, like, she knew this the whole time. Like, that's why she didn't want to she didn't want to be the one to initiate it in the very first scene that we see with them. She had all of this thought process before. And then it was
Mm,
like when she like leaves the second time, it was the same thought process. And now it's like they finally started this thing, and now she's like, oh no, everything that I just feared. And I was like, but you've been fearing this whole time. If this was the fear, like, this shouldn't be a fear anymore, it should be an expectation. So I don't
yeah.
know, it was like the blow up didn't match the logic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Kind
like
of.
for her like to storm off being like everyone now knows. I was like, dude, you knew that this was probably going to happen. Like you were out in the streets with this guy, like walking blatantly like it was nothing. Should
Uh-huh.
have
Uh-huh.
expected this.
Yeah, but I appreciate, William being like, this is all just one day. Today's newspapers is going to be in the trash can
Yeah.
tomorrow, right? There's always something new. And
Yeah.
like that kind of resonated with me a little bit because if you think about it, we have such short attention spans. Like
Mhm.
one moment we're talking about this, another moment we're talking about this, and then you totally forget about what happened last week and it feels like it was a year ago,
Yeah.
like the freaking was it like 2007 Stanley Cup riots or whatever. That felt like it was like, ages ago,
Eons
which
ago.
it was.
Yeah.
But then it's like you forgot about how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And then you play on people's short attention span and like see, we totally also forgot that the reason why she went to his apartment in the first place because her nudes leaked. And so
Exactly.
she got over that, but then immediately got enraged about, him opening the door and she's
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And then, like, when she comes back, like, with her heart in her hand with that painting, I was like, but, and you're like, oh, I want you to love me back. I was like, dude, he tried. And then you bit his head off for it. No,
Right.
he has every right to say no.
And I think that the scripting there was really well made.
Yeah.
I don't know about you because you're the writer here, but for me it was like he the way that William expressed why he wanted to say no or his reason
Yes.
for saying no, I feel like that was very well written in the fact that he's like, I feel like I'm a level-headed bloke, right? That and the thing is that I don't understand all this fame, fortune, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And but the thing is I know that you could
It'll,
hurt me again.
exactly.
And like for me to just blindly just say yes to you is going to be doing myself
A disservice.
a
Yeah.
disservice, exactly, because I'm literally at your mercy because you're the one who keeps, leaving me, whereas I've stayed constant and it's been
Yeah.
like years year passed, and since you came back, and then now you're telling me I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love me.
The fact that you got that word for word is insane.
Because it was so iconic. Like for me, it
uh
was definitely one of the more
yeah.
iconic sayings, because you're not just a girl, right? And then that's what
Yeah.
he's trying to tell you, is that you're not just a girl. But then she goes and she says the fame is all fake. The
Yeah,
fame
but
is
it's
is not
like
real.
you're keeping it so close to you though, and that's like the thing that's like driving you to not be with him. That's like the thing that you're always throwing as your like trump card on the table. And I'm like, dude, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like you can't do that. I don't know.
For sure. For sure. No, and then you know what though? At the end of the movie,
Mhm.
I think that there was an antidote for that, where it was that she did invite him into her world, and started bringing him along to red carpets and
Mhm.
all of these things, so that she shows the world that she's comfortable with him, and that he shouldn't worry and think that she's trying to keep him as a secret, especially at the last press conference,
Yeah.
where she whispers to the guy and says, ask that guy to ask that question again, and she
Yeah.
changes her answer to stay indefinitely in England, right? I feel like that was her being vulnerable on her
Yeah.
level.
That was like the
Yeah,
one, I think that was the character growth that I was expecting the entire time. And it finally came in the third
right.
act at the very end. My God. But it was just frustrating to see that, like, she was so wishy washy the entire time. I was like, dude, you can't be saying, I don't want you anywhere near me because fame and this is my life and this is what I'm used to and you don't understand it. But when he tries to understand it, you're like, no, I need to go. I need to go. And then it's like you just leave for 2 years and then you come back and you're like, I need help. Like, my dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, but then you know what though? Like the cinematography is so well done in that one, to me, in that like one scenario where he's walking down the street and it changes
Oh,
seasons.
yeah. That's
That to
easily
me
the most
was
beautiful shot.
genius. Oh, for sure.
Beautiful.
I was like, I noticed it. It was a single shot, no stopping,
Yeah,
and it
just
changed
one pan down the
seasons.
street. It starts with like,
Fucking gorgeous.
yeah, that pregnant woman who then like has the baby at the very end of the scene.
Oh yeah.
And then you
I
see
thought
like
that that was so clever. So
so
cleverly
good.
done.
And then it's like you see this like his sister like go through the relationship as well. Like she's like talking to him
Yes.
in like the fall and it's like they're broken up by spring.
Yes.
Yeah, you see the full progression of that relationship. It's like that was a really nice way of like time falling because like the previous one, like where he's on the dates with all the women, like after Anna
Uh-huh,
leaves the
uh-huh.
first time, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
realize that it had been like a few months. Like I didn't realize that it had been a few months since she left because it just
Oh,
felt like he was
okay.
going on like a date every night.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That his friends were setting him up on a new date every night, but then it
Yeah,
happened actually within the span of a couple months.
exactly. So I keep forgetting when I watch the movie that it's like it has been time that has passed, which makes the thing even more ridiculous to me. Like you've had all of this time in Beverly Hills, Anna Scott, to like live your best life. You're making these movies. Obviously, you've probably gone to dinner with some, Hollywood people and have had relationships with these Hollywood people. Like, why do you come back to the one guy who you kissed one time in his home at a bookstore in England? Do you know what I mean? Like, in that whole time, you've had months to pass. I don't know.
Mhm. Well, that's your typical romantic comedy scenario though,
Ugh.
right? Like either desperate girl falls for a guy that she could never obtain, and then there's some objections along the way, but then you end up together. And then in this case, it was like strong female lead turns into damsel in distress and then has an outrage, then comes back, and the guy stayed constant the entire time. So the fact that William's character was so stable, I think it really
Yeah.
then exaggerates, like, Anna Scott's just
Yeah.
insane changing of emotions. It's just the levels
Exactly.
just coming through.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was like grinding my teeth as I was watching this. I was like, oh, right. I remember now. I remember why this movie makes me cringe. Because, like, you always want to see a woman, like, have her own comeuppance and, like, really have her own autonomy and like make her right choices. And yes, she does struggle a little bit. She's so wishy-washy, and I just want her to like commit to one thing and stick to it and not like run away. And I'm glad that she does at the end. Like that obviously is the key happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it took a while. It took 3 acts before she got to that point.
I think another surprising thing for me was when Spike jumped out of the car and directed traffic so that William could get to that press conference.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh, Spike. That character just kills me. I can't. It was nice to see him like not be a fool for the first time. Like he got out in like a really dumb thing to do, but he did it like for the good of the
Oh
group.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
the love shows between that bromance because even though William had no clue whether or not like Spike leaked the information that she was there, but he gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was fighting
Yeah.
on his behalf, saying no, like there's no way that he could have done that. Like he's a dumb wit, but yeah, and there's no way he could have done that. Then you have
Exactly.
then you have Spike coming up and being like, you were literally like an idiot for saying no to her, right?
Yeah.
And then him redirecting traffic. And then like it just I don't know, it's a little circle that comes around that he ends up with his sister, but at the same time I felt really bad for that stockbroker because you could totally tell that he had a
Oh
thing for the
man.
sister. I would prefer him. He's way cuter than Spike
I don't
in
know.
my
Spike's got
opinion.
that winning personality, and I put personality in many quotation marks.
Who's also an aspiring artist with some
Yeah.
very promising, a very promising
Endeavors.
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
I that's on another level. But again,
Oh
on the
man.
idea of full circle, like I liked that it ended that they were back at that garden, back at that bench, and then she was pregnant and he was reading and she's just enjoying and basking in that kind of moment that they are having together with children running
Yeah.
around. I think that was a very nice ending. I don't think I would have wanted to watch any further than that because that ended off nicely. Like I don't think I need
Yeah.
like the character development has already matured for me in the sense
Mm.
that I no longer needed any more story. So to me it was full circle, like her getting
Yeah.
pregnant, being on that bench. Yeah.
I think like the one thing I definitely wanted to see was just her to like I needed to see her stop running. So to see her just planted in one spot, I was like, this is nice.
Mhm.
You're not just
Mhm.
escaping the good anymore. You've created it. It's here. You're stuck with it now. Enjoy.
So I think like there's a lot to say about the supporting characters in the cast
Yeah.
and well I mean we I think this is cool because we both agreed on a lot of points on this movie,
Yes.
which is rare because I think that you have such a like negative outlook on rom-coms. It's just
I
I didn't even
okay.
think you would
I
enjoy it.
there are some rom-coms that I do love. I love Annie Hall. I like certain ones. But I don't know, certain rom-coms where I'm just like I grind my teeth to get through. I'm like, "Oh man, let's just do it. Let's just watch it, just get through it."
Hey, just a reminder, you recommended this first one to be Notting Hill, so
Well, I
don't
mean, we could
complain.
both find it on Amazon Prime, and we both have Amazon Prime subscriptions. So I
Right.
was like, this will be fine.
Right. Well, this brings us to the conclusion of our first edition of Cramps in Cinema. We are going to move on now to the rating of
Yes.
this movie. So we've came up with a rating scale, and
Yes.
so there's a couple of categories, and we're going to go through each one. And this is going to be the same rating scale that we have for all of the romantic comedies that we're going to be reviewing. But first off, that we have is cinematography, and both Chris and I came to the conclusion of an 8.25 out of 10. Very well
Yes.
done, I think, in terms of how it was filmed and how whoever was filming it wanted the audience to see, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh that one scene, that like one single camera pan down the street to like see the different change of seasons
Oh
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
show how time had passed, like that was gorgeous. That was great. And then to see the echoing of the moment of happiness, like when they're in the garden at the end, echoes sort of the
Mhm.
same sort of feel as the park scene earlier,
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
they jump the fence. Yeah, like it was good. Do I wish that it had done a little bit more in terms of narrative? Absolutely. I completely missed that there was time that had elapsed in the first between the first Anna meeting and the second one.
Mm.
Yeah, like little things like that because there was like a lot of exposition, but I feel like you could have shown it rather than told it.
Right, right. Okay. And then because Chris really didn't like Julia Roberts' character, as well as Hugh Grant's face annoys her, casting is we ended on a 6.75 out of 10. I thought Hugh Grant was really cute with glasses. Spike is Spike. We've got and then the good like just the story of the random characters that you've got in there, the helper at the
Yeah.
bookstore,
Like the
the
supporting cast is
yeah, the lawyer,
amazing.
was it the
Like
lawyer turned
the
failed restaurateur?
stockbroker. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
was it
yeah,
sto
yeah, yeah. Or the
yeah.
architect. He was an
Oh,
architect.
architect, yes.
Yes.
That turned into a bad
Restaurateur.
yeah, but then it sucked because he closed the restaurant. But then that, brought a little bit of a different angle to the story. Then we have
Yeah.
musical soundtrack. We've got a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh man, there's like that one song that keeps repeating where it's like I don't even know what the I have to look it up, but like there's that one song that they play in the beginning and then it like comes up several times in like reprise and then at the very end when they're rolling credits the Shania Twain song. I'm like
The
this is
Shania Twain
so
song.
peak 90s. I
I
don't
thought it
even
was so
know.
funny that there was like some like country music that's just splashed on there,
Oh
done in
man.
a tasteful fashion, but still, I
Yeah.
thought it
Oh,
was
it's
really
that one
funny.
Elvis Costello song. Oh
Oh,
man, that's what it's called. Like they play in the beginning and then it's like they bring it back in reprise like twice. And I'm like, okay,
hmm,
we get it. We get it. She's special. We
it's like
understand.
her theme song when she walks through.
Yes. Oh my god.
Next on the scale is level of sappiness. I gave it a 7.5 because it was sappy, but it wasn't sappy to the point where I would have to shrug my shoulders up and cringe a little bit because it was so
Yeah.
romantically sound. So that was a
I think
7.5.
yeah, I think it was less sappy and more cringe. You know what I mean? Like there was a couple cringe moments
Okay.
where I was like, "Oh man." Like Hugh Grant not being able to get over the fence
And
like
then
when they're
saying
jumping the fence.
whoopsie daisies.
Oh my god. I was like, "Dude, can you stop? Just stop. It's not even endearing. This is like peak cringe. This is Chris cringe. Stop
Hashtag
this."
Chris cringe. And then the next on the scale is tearjerker level. We
Oh.
both did not cry in this
Mm-mm.
one. It's a 0 out of 10. And just for reference, I have the shallowest tear ducts that I will cry at everything. I will cry at cute cat videos that got rescued. I will cry at parent teacher conferences back in high school. I will
Oh
cry at
man.
everything. So this being a 0 out of 10 really surprises me, especially because I am on my period. And I thought that maybe my emotions would be heightened a little. No, there was no crying in this
I
whatsoever.
yeah, I'm the exact opposite as you actually. I it takes a lot. It takes a ton for me to like feel things.
Hmm.
So I feel like this is going to be really great watching these movies with you because I have the coldest heart known to man, and you're a big suck. So like we're gonna have a lot of debate in these
I'm a big
movies.
suck, yes. I I
Yes,
I look like I'm a bad bitch, but I
you
but I have
are.
I have a soft heart for things. I'm soft on the inside.
I'm like an armadillo. I have like a soft underbelly, but like I've just got scales for days.
And we will talk about this, the difference in our, ability to receive and give love in a separate episode where we talk about
Yes.
love languages. But until then, let's get back to this rating and the overall
Yes.
rating from the both of us, like on a scale of 1 pint of Ben and Jerry's to a total emotional annihilation. Chris, what do we give this movie?
I think we should give it if it's going to be a Ben and Jerry's flavor, it's got to be Cherry Garcia because that's like my least favorite flavor. Get
Okay.
at me. I don't even care what y'all have to say about that. And like two Reese's pieces because like it was like a little too sweet, but it also starred some people that I didn't really care for. So I feel like
Okay.
it's like a pint of Ben and Jerry's with two Reese's buttercups.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I'm
Yeah.
not mad at that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair rating.
For sure. I think that's a fair rating, and you know what? We're going to be doing this again.
Yes.
We'll be doing this again. So if you enjoyed this episode of Cramps and Cinema, get ready because we'll be bringing you a new episode on the third Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, that's right. So put on some flowy pants, grab that bar of chocolate, and get ready to watch some PMS friendly films with us. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Well, I think that comes to the end of the episode. We'll catch you guys next week with an all new episode of Editorial. Remember to listen, share, send us your questions, guys. We love hearing from you guys.
Yes,
We
we
want to hear
do.
your comments, your thoughts. If you have any cool thoughts on Instagram, let us know. We'll make a fun little post for you guys, give you a shout out.
Remember to follow us at Editorial on Twitter and Instagram, Editorial, and email
Exactly.
us at editorialpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week, guys. Stay real.
Stay real.